not speaking yet. Oh, you can't see me. You can't see me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Show has not started yet. Hello, everybody. About to start. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Kiki's chat show. Today, hello, welcome to Kiki's chat show. Today is Wednesday, the 3rd of October, and we have so much to talk about in one topic with a lot and a lot and a lot. People, I'm not sure how we should broach the topic. However, the topic is, why now? Why are women victims coming forward years later? Now, today, I have Akua Praba here with me, my guest. She's a social worker who also has a close relative who reported her attack much later than when it occurred. It all happened here in London. Now, because of the close proximity of her relative, she has asked that we protect her anonymity so as not to compromise herself and her relative's privacy. Therefore, you will only see me today on the screen, even though she's here and happy to contribute to the conversation. We had a chat earlier. She has a lot to say. She is going to kind of explain, because of her experience with work and also with people she knows, why now is the right time to talk about it. Now, in the advent of Bill Cosby's case and the consequent Me Too campaign, quite a few people ask the question of why do women wait? And it's men. Men cannot comprehend why women wait and make the complaint now. Some people are saying women are very vindictive because the person has got a job, or the person is now a public figure, or the person is, has put it behind him, and therefore why can't women put it behind them? I find it annoying when people say that. I especially find it sad and heartbreaking when people say, why are they wrecking a man's future? We have seen the president of America actually denigrating the woman who came forward, Mrs. Christine Ford. He said she can't remember this, she can't remember that. It just shows you that some people, especially men, cannot comprehend. They do not understand how this whole situation is for women. They do not understand why women are not on the same page as them when it comes to forced sex or sexual attack, or when they are in the mood and the woman is not. They can't understand it. Well, I have Akua here. And Akua, I need to introduce Akua to you, but she's a social worker and she's going to tell you the rest of herself, because I've got it on my phone and my phone is now on Facebook Live, so I can't. But hi, hello.
Hello.
Do you want to tell us who you are and explain to us your experience and all of that?
Yeah, I'm Akua Praba, and I am a social worker. Yes, I work within the social care field. I have vast experience and also have counseling background.
Okay, speak clearly I can't hear you. They can't hear you.
Hello.
I can hear you a little bit. Let's see.
Hello.
Yep, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
I am Akua Praba.
Yep.
Experienced social worker within the social care field with vast counseling background and experience. And mainly I work with children and families.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Akua, why would somebody who, the first and the most easiest question is, yes, why now? Why are people now coming forward, especially with the Bill Cosby case? This thing happened quite a while ago, and suddenly one person spoke, and then several people came forward as well. Could you work out why?
Well, there are various reasons why people do not come forward.
Yeah.
And also various reasons why people have the courage to come forward.
Okay.
So when you're a young person and a rape happened, you have to now understand what rape is all about, because it's a shameful feeling for you to lose control, for someone to rape you. And in a society as a whole, where it's frowned upon, and even when you come forward to say you have been raped, one will question, did you deserve it? Did you ask for it? All these questions around, it doesn't make people feel comfortable to actually talk about rape itself. Some have courage, as you know, as human beings, we all have different courage.
Different degrees of courage.
Yes.
Yes.
Therefore, it depends on anyone. And people would choose to be quiet and try to deal with it. By dealing with it is, one, emotionally, you're
suppressing.
Yes, and your whole being has been taken away.
Yes.
Therefore, how do you find yourself and come to understand and accept the fact that, yes, this person had actually raped you?
Yeah.
How do you have the courage to go forward? Who would believe you? Are they going to tear you apart? And even in the Western world today, as we all know, it's all in the open. But you can see when people come forward, even when they have had a night out with a friend or a mate, and they've been raped and they come forward, the question is, you are putting on a stand where you have to
fight
and
to
go through
yeah.
that humiliation. You have to tell the story again. How many people do have the courage to come forward?
Yeah.
And people bury it. But as human beings, I believe that we're created in a way that no matter how you feel shame, if death does not take you away, it will reach a time in your life that you would have to let it out. Because the body you can suppress your shame, you can suppress how people have treated you bad, but one day that anger and everything can come out. Some people go through it through depression. They never say it till they're gone. But some people actually get the courage and to speak when they see that one has actually maybe I'll use a promotion, or someone becomes a public figure and try to be like they're the best person, and you ask yourself, this man actually in my childhood days was a rapist, was an abuser. How dare he stand there to talk? And then he could give you the courage to say, you know what, enough is enough, let's face it. I would actually say, he did this to me, and it is right. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you couldn't have spoken about it. Now we have the forum for people to be able to come out and say, look, it's rape. We have young men who have suffered rape. We have young women. And some people have grown into their 80s, and now they're able to talk about it. Some people never go public, but they tell their family. Therefore, if women come out in their own time, does not mean that they want to degrade the person who is the perpetrator.
Yeah.
Women need the support to be able to stand up and fight. And men, because men also do get abused. Young boys have been abused and they've grown into men. Some are ashamed to talk about it.
Yes.
Some can only talk about it to their relative because they don't want anyone to hear it. And yet there are public figures who have actually raped them. And if we don't come out to talk about it, these perpetrators will continue and carry on to rape people.
Now, somebody, when I put the advert up on Facebook, somebody came on and said, it's because finally people are beginning to sit up and listen. And that is true, because since people have been coming forward little by little.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to, just picture a scenario, man or woman, young child, young person or older person. You go out with friends, you all have a bit to drink, everybody's happy, you're laughing and chatting. And then on your way home, this guy says, oh, let me help you go home with you, etc. And on your way home, he suddenly diverts a taxi or whatever, or you stop somewhere. He rapes you. And then you're trying to say, look, no, I don't want to do this. But because you see them as friends. And you see, people do not realize that when you don't see it, this is your body, your person. And when it is somebody who you are not sexually attracted to, or somebody who you do not want to invade that personal space of yours, it can drive you mad. It can put you into depression. It ruins your life. People have, their whole future is ruined by that one act. Meanwhile, the man has done what he wants to do, and he's blissfully unaware of the suffering that he has subjected you to, and gone. Now, the point is, people don't understand that culturally, especially if you are from Africa and those parts, there are scenarios, and I've said this several times on this show, where you are raped by somebody, but if he is a respectable person or a much loved uncle or somebody, they tell you to shut up, mainly because of the shame aspect. Or they cover it up and you are the bad person. From then on, you are soiled goods anyway. People see you as soiled goods. Now, your parents or your mother doesn't want outsiders to know that this has... So the whole thing, and it is silence that drives people mad.
Yeah, and it is the hidden crime. And also when you look at a cultural background, and we look at Africa or Ghana, for example, where there are young women who cannot talk, and especially even women, it's surprising how some women who have been abused themselves and see their children go through that, and then would blame the child who has been raped and abused. Because how do people value? It's a taboo, they say, and it's shameful. But then they put the onus on the child or the person who has been raped. For example, an uncle would rape, and then because an uncle has a name, or maybe would be supporting the family, therefore they don't talk about it. But when you ask yourself, if it's one child that this uncle has raped, how many more children has he raped?
People don't think that far. They can't think far.
And the worry is that women, men, uncles, brothers, sisters, it is a crime. You see, because people take sexual abuse as, oh, he just, if you may pardon, she fancy on in a diet. No, we're raping or you're abused. Why we do not actually put weight into it that it is a crime. Invading someone's space, and it's a crime. The minute we know that it's a crime, and it's not like, oh, he's been molested, oh, he's been defiled, oh, it's rape, oh, the word on in die, if we take it out of the picture, then say that, look, this person has been raped, abused, defiled, then we would put weight into it. But there is no weight in it. Therefore, people just talk about it and leave it as it is. And you see the young child who would be withdrawn. There's so many ways, especially children, deal with it. Some children would actually function, but because they might have resilience, or they might feel loved within the home or somewhere else, you wouldn't see. Some people will be depressed. Some people will never talk about it, and they would not be even in a relationship. So there are various reasons.
Somebody is asking now that why do people come forward 5 years, 10 years later, and if they are not believed, then why are women making a fuss about it?
Well, why would someone come after 5 years later? I believe that people will tell you that from experience that, within 5 years, I have come to terms with it. I was raped. I have dealt with all the emotions. Therefore, I feel comfortable to talk about it, and they will share it.
So if you are sharing it, why would you then go to the authorities and say this particular, like Bill Cosby, like the Senate, the Judge Kavanaugh, like all of these people coming out, the Me Too campaign, people who are, a lot of actresses in America, people are saying they too were raped. And, so people are talking. A friend of mine actually said that she was raped, and she said she was raped by the neighbor who they left them with because his wife, was friendly, and the wife said she would look after them when the parents went off somewhere. So they took them there, and the third time they were taken there, the man raped her. Now, after he raped her, she was afraid because he said he had powers and he would kill the family and that. But when she told her grandmother, I think she was 13 or 14 or something. When she told her grandmother, then her grandmother made a big stink and everyone. So for a long time, she was afraid that her parents were going to die. And also the man was arrested and, all sorts of things. And then he died. He had a car accident and died. And so she felt that it was her fault, because she was withdrawn and miserable. It took years. She went to boarding school in Zimbabwe for years, came back. She's now a grown woman, married and everything. Her husband doesn't know about it, but she told me. Now, this is terrible because it means she's kept this in herself. She kind of power blames herself because maybe she shouldn't have told, But you see, there's so many implications around this sort of thing. And if you don't tell, what if something bad else happens additionally? If he had a disease, if he had, so people have to tell. You have to tell.
And also going to the authorities to tell. Well, it's now known that those who have abused many years, the authorities are looking into it and they are actually charging people. Therefore, if you're ready to talk about it, whether it happened 30 years ago, you would need to talk about it and you feel ready to talk about it. Who would you report it to the police? Because they would deal with it because you were hurt 30 years ago and you had carried it all these years. The weight that you carry, the minute you talk about it and you see that the justice is done, it makes you feel better because your life has been taken away. Look at someone in their 80s. You talk about some of the actresses and actors, those who have gone through. You go back to your life because once you've been abused, you're humiliated. Half of you goes, part of you dies. You will need to get yourself back again. And the story that you told about this young woman, although she's married, look, she's carrying this burden. Her husband does not even know about it.
Yeah, he doesn't. But you see, one of the things which she said to me also, and she cried even while telling me the story. Now, also she says that because of the rape, she doesn't actually she doesn't have sex for enjoyment. She has sex because she has to do it, because her husband. So, and there are times when she hates him afterwards, but she has to tell herself that she has to deal with it. We've got a caller. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hello, caller.
Hi.
Who's speaking, please? Can you lower your sound because we can hear it? It will echo into the air. Please. Thank you. Hello, Norma. Mhm. Mhm.
A lot of people
Mhm.
who are raped,
Mhm.
especially who don't have those positions like Paul Cosby and those actresses and all this Me Too movement,
Mhm.
when they do these things,
Mhm.
it just takes away from the average person who's been raped and who's been abused. When they take this high profile thing, who pays the husband person any attention about being raped? Who is going to give them compensation? All these people, especially with the film case, that woman who has brought this charge against her,
Mm-hmm.
Bill Cosby has paid her school fees, put her through college.
Mm-hmm.
She went back to his house town again after the incident all happened. So I think with these high-profile cases,
Mm-hmm.
we need to learn to separate ourselves from those things. Because all those people, they've all got their career on track.
Mm-hmm.
They all were conscious of the things that they were doing going into their situation, like going out with this man because they were hoping that they would get their career finance and whatever they wanted to do. And so you've got to learn to separate the real people
Mm-hmm.
who have been raised through culture, whether they're taxis that they've been taught to use, or whether they're uncles and stuff like that. All of these things, this Me Too campaign, all these high-profile people who are really taking away the real pain from the real people who have suffered and never put themselves into those kind of positions and never got any monetary things from it, or was going out with these people because they're famous and they think that they can get something out of it. These people never made those conscious choices of that. And I think this Me Too movement, is really taking wings. And the people who have really been forgotten, the people who are at the bottom of this social aspect, and they're the ones who are really suffering. These people, they do what they want to do. 10 years later, look how many years later you're bringing charges on these men. When you've already been paid, your life is all set up. So for me, when it comes to those people in those kind of brackets, that's a different kind of stuff. And I think they are really making it bad for the girls and boys who don't, who are never in those kind of situations, who make those conscious decisions, because they make those conscious decisions. They make the conscious decision that they want their career to be financed. They make those conscious decisions that they want to find rich men to look after them. They make those conscious decisions to try to get into those places where the rich man is, to get the crumbs from the table. And then when they've got the crumbs from the table, they're still going back into it. And then 30, 40 years later, you're telling me that your life was so destroyed after you've taken the people their money. I have to categorize this Me Too movement in two categories. Those are the people who are fighting for money. They're not fighting for justice. They're fighting for money. They're okay. The real people who need the justice, nobody's hearing them.
Well,
And nobody's fighting for them.
Okay.
Whether it's culture, we know from culture, women really do suffer. And for me, these high-profile people, they're just, I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I know when I speak to a lot of my friends who are women, we feel that way. And nobody wants to say it because nobody wants to think,
Okay.
everybody to think that we're not sympathetic.
Norma, when you have a platform or a voice, one of the biggest things that worries or is a concern for all women on this earth is sexual violence. Now, sexual violence is in different categories. Now, I do appreciate your category, and I have pondered on that too, because there are people who maybe, because they are very aware that if they don't have sex with a certain person, they will not get a certain job or a certain kind of thing. Now, that is a different, it's a standalone case, because one of the positives about the Bill Cosby case, one of the positives about the Kavanagh case, one of the positives about all of these cases where things are coming to the fore is because it is making people aware that they too can say, and you see, let those rich people that you're talking about, people who want money, let them come forward first, Because as it is, there are a lot of people up and down the world, and it's not just up and down the country or the Africa or the continent. No, up and down the world who need somebody to stand in front of them. Now, let me give you a scenario. You see me, I am an extrovert, I am out there, I have no fear. And I may actually kill a man if, even when I was 21, I may stab you or try and hurt you if you try to rape me. However, I too may not be able to tell. If I killed him, then the case came out, then I would say the reason why I killed him was because he was trying to rape me. And even then, at that time, they would rubbish me to the point where I would go to prison. I would end up useless and wrecked because the laws were not strong enough and the laws were not sympathetic. And so for all the people on here who are asking the question of why does it take people that long to come forward, I want you to understand, and from the discussion that we're having with a queer here on this radio station now, it means that there was a time when you would not be listened to. And the stars and all of those people had to come forward. For now, we are all aware of the situation and they are being listened to now. Do you want to add something?
Yes. And when you talk of some people will take advantage, and we know that some people will take advantage, but we cannot negate the fact that when somebody would bribe you for sex, it's rape. Then yes, if that person is so desperate, you then have to look at it. Some women would be vulnerable. When you talk of their school fees being paid and they're going there, was he using the school fees as a means to abuse her?
We've got another caller. We've got another caller. Hello, caller. Oh yeah, yeah.
I missed a lot of what you were saying. And one of the points that I think you were making before the call drop was that the laws weren't in place. This rape law has been in place for quite some time now. That this Me Too campaign could have used, but they choose to use it now. They could have used it a long time ago because it's not just now that the rape law has been put in place to protect women. Even if you were married and you went to bed and your husband wanted to have sex, you can say no to your husband. And if he does, take his conjugal rights, you can go to the police station in the morning and have him arrested. So it has been in place for more than 10 years now, this rape law. So for them, after the law is there to help them, for them to just be coming out with it, it's still, for me, as a woman, and I've lived in a woman's world and understanding some of women's motives, these people, like the Bill Cosby case and all those high-profile cases, they really are not giving any help to women who really are suffering in pain, and there's nobody to hear them. There's nobody to talk to them. There's nobody to help them through. There's nobody to pay them some money for their pain and their suffering. And that's why, for me, and, I could be speaking for some women as well. As I said, I've spoken to quite a lot of women, these women who are there, they could have come forth a long time ago, 10 years, whatever. Why is it they're coming over now? Why?
Okay.
After they've got their money and their life is all right now?
Well, could you...
Okay. Norma, the lady wants to answer you. So, I'm going to take you off the air now. And please listen. Okay.
Yeah. Hello. Well, if you could say that these laws came about, not quite long ago. When you say 10 years, you have to know 10 years is not long ago. And also, we know in society that when there is a gate where people can take advantage of, people would. We need to differentiate. Yes, some women would actually take themselves and then might later talk about rape. That is not what we are talking about here. Some women would be raped, right? And they would even go back to the place again, not because they're asking for it. Some get raped and eventually they just take it as and let it go. And you see them and they are still friends with the people that raped them. Right? That doesn't mean that they weren't raped. The minute somebody violates you because you never asked for it, it's rape. If you give me the whole building and you touch me and I said, no, don't touch me, it's rape. We cannot negate the fact that people would take advantage. Therefore, those women who have come up, yes, some people would lie because there are liars in the society and the world. But that does not take away the humiliation and pain that other people have gone through. You can't tell me that if I live somewhere and somebody, I've met somebody, he's a good friend of mine and he has raped me. We're still friends. How do I go about it? And I meet the person and go, oh, I need a favor, and the person helped me. And then 10 years later, I'm like, no. What you did to me was bad. It's rape. And I talk about it. Doesn't mean that I lied. The fact that we were friends does not mean that when you violated me, it's okay.
The other thing I need to add is, yes, there may be a few, but you see, we cannot feed into that narrative of, yes, some women lie and all of that. That doesn't help the hordes of women who, look, one of the things that we pray to stop, to cancel, is sexual violence. We need to be strong on it. Whether a few women are lying or using sex for their own material needs or what, it's not the issue. There is sexual violence out there, and sometimes it kills young children. Look, we have to have one voice, and we have to make it. The other issue about how the law has been there for 10 years, 10 years is a short time, as Aquia is saying, and also the fact is, people are groomed. The issue of grooming a child or grooming somebody or taking vulnerable people out of their comfort zone to do nasty things to them, and they don't even know that it's happening to them. I think I'm getting another caller, but it's gone off now. And doing things to them, that is unacceptable. And that is what we're talking about. Now, for the rich people or the Me Too people who are already comfortable and they are trying to get money out of it, they are strengthening the weak ones to also come out. That is what I think. Because you see, in this world, there are some people who will come forward, and that will also make the quiet ones come forward. There are so many stories we could tell you. I've just told you about my friend who cried this week because I put the advert out. I only put it out on Monday. Today is Wednesday. 3 days. Yesterday, I was on the phone for 2 hours about this issue, about her issue. There was crying and all of that inside of it. Now, people don't realize that the law itself, when you are raped, and I need everyone who's listening to understand this, that when you are raped and you call the police, the first instance, they don't believe you. The second thing they will do now is having all these tests and all of these humiliating situations. Now, if you've gone over that and you want to go to court, you must remember that this is going to be out there. It's going to be in the news. Sometimes, people will hear. This whole body of yours is supposed to be private.
And you relive it again.
You relive it. You are dragged in the mud. And even if it is obvious, still they will find ways. Apart from the fact that the perpetrator will lie. And he will lie. He will have people helping him to lie. And in this Western world, if you meet people who have boldly come forward, the sufferings they go through after. It's like it has been described by scientists and psychologists as somebody who's been to war.
Yeah.
Now, this, I'm not saying it lightly. I've got another caller on, I think. I don't know. The phone is flashing, and yet I go to it, and then there's nothing there. Right, it's gone. So this is why some people will hold back. Now, the scenario is this. If you've been raped, you were raped 20 years ago, and nothing happened, you didn't tell anyone, but then the person who raped you, who reduced you, who humiliated you, who was not your boyfriend, who was just somebody you knew or even didn't know or whatever, is going to be a judge, as somebody who is supposed to be balanced, who is presiding over people who have raped, murderers, etc., etc. Some people who are they have the feeling for the greater good, who are concerned that this person is crooked and is not going to be able to deal with this issue, may come forward, because by that time they have grown more years, they have more experience, and they understand the way the system works. I think my phone keeps flashing every time I look at it, then it goes off. But anyway, so it is these reasons. I know that it's difficult for men to comprehend this, and it's difficult for men to understand, especially people who think, it's 10 years ago, it's 15 years ago. The thing is, maybe we should have a strategy and teach ladies, especially the young ones coming up, what to do. Even if you don't want to tell anyone, we should find a strategy for them to write it down, to put everything down, and to go and put it in a bank vault or something. So that when you do get energy and strength to report it, you can report it and have all the facts at your fingertips. I don't know. What do you want to say?
Well, it doesn't go away. Once you go through trauma, such as rape, vividly, you try to bury it, it still come up. So it's not something that it goes away. And when you have that courage to go out there to report it, you are in the limelight. You are standing there. You are going to relive it again. It's not something that you can actually push it under the carpet. We have seen young men who are grown now, in their 50s, in their 60s, going back to when they were raped as 14, 15, 20, 21.
And they've cried.
Many nights.
They've cried when they relive it. Men who were raped in those monasteries, or men who were in the homes, residential homes.
Even within their own homes.
Men have wept. So this is not just a woman thing. The thing is for somebody to take, when you're vulnerable, to take it's your whole being. Rape is a difficult thing to deal with. Now, there are men out there who understand what I'm talking about, who are sympathetic, men born of women, who know that this is a violation. And look, the law is an ass. I'm telling you now, the law does not protect you all the time. The law is a disappointing thing. If you go to court, sometimes you are telling the truth. And sometimes the truth can be stranger than fiction. And we have situations like this all the time, where if you keep something, it's a detriment, really, because, people want to hear it when it happens. Now, when it happens, people are not listening. they do not understand. It hasn't happened to them before. But if you hear people, when you listen to people, when you talk to people, you can see that rape is heart-wrenching. Rape is not an easy thing to happen to people.
So, for example, when someone breaks one's leg, because the leg is broken, 10 years later, 15 years later, you can still sue and get compensation and go talk about it. When you're raped, because no one has seen it and you're not ready to talk about it, when you talk about it 20 years ago, is it because you want money? Or is it because you want to shame somebody? Some people will take advantage with the stars to say that yes. But again, we have to understand what is sexual abuse. Because if you are bribing someone with gifts and having sex with the person, it's abuse. Because you're using something to get the person.
Yes.
And then one would say, oh, but she's a grown woman, so she has a choice to make. But sometimes you're vulnerable. If you're vulnerable and you're working for somebody and you have your promotion there and you know that it's at stake and they want to have sex with you, they call it sex, but it is rape.
It is rape because it is at a vulnerable point. Now, we all have to rise up together. And this I'll say at every time we have a show like this, that sexual violence and sexual abuse are when someone takes advantage of you for their enjoyment, not yours.
Yes.
Now, if you have a job and you need promotion, you have family, you have this, that, and the other, there are women out there whose husbands don't work or don't have husbands, but they have children. They are forced to do this because that's the only way that, the man could have given you the job, but he wants to take advantage. He takes advantage of you. Then there are children. I don't know if do you want to tell the story of the person that you knew? And so that people get it in their minds and why you took a long time, for them to come forward.
Yeah, one of the things, one of the reasons why the young person didn't say was that they didn't want to ruin a family. Mm-hmm. They were hoping that it would stop. Mm-hmm. They don't want any trouble. Mm-hmm. They felt that they would not be believed. They felt that if they are away, how would the rest of the family, how would they function? Mm-hmm. So they took, and this is a young person, so they took that cross to be bold enough to conceal it. But as the years goes by, the abuse never stopped. When the young person reflects back and would say, oh, nothing would have happened, I wish I had said it. And not because some people would think that, or sometimes people would only groom you with fear. But as we've said along, when one is vulnerable, you look at all aspects. There's so many ways how people function. This young person was there and looking at the family as a whole. This is a loved one. How do you actually come out to say this loved one is doing this to me when you know very well that this is not right? So you become like, maybe I am the cause. And as a child would feel that they are the main reason for that to happen. So they would not say it. And that is the main reason why the young person didn't say it. I met another young person whose father was abusing the mother, and she felt that, and also abusing her. But she was giving in to the abuse because she felt that she was helping the father because mother was not able to do it, and therefore, so she's helping him so he doesn't attack the mother. Yes, and it's been and never said about it for more than 5-8 years. Oh my God! So some people are in their 20s and they reflect back when they were abused at age of 15, or some are in their 40s. I mean, going through research, some people are even in their 80s and have not been able to have the courage to talk about it. Some have written it down, and after
they're dead, yeah.
you can see the diary that they suffered, and this is why they were so much withdrawn. So there are various reasons for people not to say, and also people's emotional needs. Sometimes people would never be ready because they cannot face the shame and humiliation, and some people are depressed and they would rather bury it than talk about it. So we should give people the forum to talk about it. We acknowledge that with the high profile cases, some people may take advantage because they need money, but we cannot negate the fact that, look, real people out there are suffering. Rape is rape. One would assume that with the publicity, with the jail sentences and what is going on, people will stop. No, sexual abuse is high, and even with with social media, it's even more. When people send other people messages, sexual messages, graphic one, and they've not asked for it, it actually can constitute of abuse, sexual abuse. So we need to talk about this topic. What is sexual abuse, and how does it affect women, and how do women reflect back and later talk about it, that this person had abused me? Because today's program will mainly focus on rape, but we have to look at the whole, what constitutes of sexual abuse. And when one goes forward to say it, one would not just feel that, oh, they've just come up because he was a star. But all these high profile people, they had high position, and they use their position to take advantage, some of them.
Some of them were taking advantage before they got their position. And while they're in the position, they think that the position is covering them or something. Well, it's not. Right now, you will know that if you tried and attacked someone in your youth, when you were 17, when you were in university, 21, whatever, it will come up later. Nothing is hidden anymore. The world has changed. In this country, the UK, 1 in 4 girls are sexually attacked, sexually raped in their homes, in their homes sometimes. And some of them, in some societies, they even get attacked with illnesses that their parents or whoever it is attack them with from outside. So society needs to be strong and stronger than it is at the moment. And regardless of the silly ones who are lying and all of that, there are hordes who are not lying. And we have to deal with it. This is very emotional for me because of what happened yesterday, and my friend telling me all of this, which shocked me to the core. And Ikea also telling us the story about the family and all of that. So it gives you a flavor of what is happening in some homes where children are absolutely vulnerable. Now, let me tell you that there are women who have not been happy for years. There are women who don't smile, don't laugh. There are women who there's something over them, and you sometimes wonder why. There's a caller. It's almost, I have 4 minutes, but I'll speak to this one. It's gone. You know, there are people who have been sad for years and nobody knows, and they're carrying a cross. They're carrying some suffering which nobody understands why. These are some of the reasons why, and we need to address it. And we cannot not address issues because some other silly people are lying. It's just impossible. It has to be addressed. And I want to thank you so much for coming to the show. It's finished. The show's finished. I've only got 3 minutes. And so I want to thank you. But do you have any final word? 1 minute.
I would urge people out there to take rape seriously, and also to have the courage to report it. It doesn't matter whether it happened 50 years ago, 15 years ago or not. When you have the courage to talk about it, and also seek help. Because when you seek help through church counseling or psychological help through counseling, it would build you up, and you would have the courage to face it and live a positive life.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ikea, for coming. Thank you for telling us this private issue. And also thank you anyway, because you understand, you are very awake on this issue. People, I must go. We've only got a few more minutes to go. one of the things I want to share with you is that it is real. The struggle is real. All of this is happening to people in all the countries. It's not a black or white thing. It is not a poor or rich thing. It happens to people everywhere. Now, if some people are coming forward, it gives the other people the chance also. The people who are quiet, the people who are withdrawn, the people who are afraid even to come forward. There has to be, we need to help people, and we need to stop. There is some humiliation gap inside of the reporting, and that is what we need to get rid of. I think if it's happening in people's homes, you've got to talk. We need to talk to our children. If people want to keep it secret for now, and we'll talk about it 10 years down the line, we have to find a way of doing it. But it has to be done. People, this has been a tough one. It has been so tough that I couldn't even play one song. It has been so tough, and it is so real that I want everyone who listens to go and think about it. There are people who are strong, and therefore they haven't suffered a fallout of it, or they've just pushed it to the back of their minds. At some point, it will affect you. It's like having an abortion. It's like all of the things that are just special to women who suffer silently. Please don't suffer silently. Tell someone, tell a friend, tell your mother, tell your father, tell a friend. Tell someone. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for making the discussion strong, and thank you. I do love you all in different variations, but I still love you. People, we have to go. Bye-bye.